Yeah.
So we'll come back to Brent when he comes, but, so we'll start with 1.2, the bylaw officer, Councillor Ward.
No, I put in the issue sheet just to bring back the bylaw officer, community safety officer, and a meeting with the group about the street people and reporting from Oscar's place. It's been quite a while since we've done anything with this, and we kind of started this in November. So I wondered where we should continue on this for this year, or is it something that we should budget and do in the next year?
Okay, how about some discussion?
One thing we brought forward a while back too, right, Randy? And we even put together a bit of a budget on what we think that would look like, even for our own police force, never mind even a bylaw officer. And I think from what I understood, some communities are actually doing that, so I agree with you, Bill. I mean, sitting around talking about it isn't gonna change anything.
Randy, I think you and I were going to make a trip to Thompson and talk to Anthony? No,
Yeah, actually,
Anthony.
yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I have it written down, and if you don't mind if I could just add on to, you had actually, Andre asked me to look into the cost, and they had several officers in that cost. And in the meantime, I'd talked to the city of Thompson, and I was supposed to meet with them this summer, but between our schedules, it didn't quite work out. But we still have the intention to meet with them and see how they deal with these issues. Because it's not just their town administrator, it goes into their public safety, it goes into their fire department. So we wanted to have a little sit down with them. Part of the conversation we also brought up at council level was about possibly looking at a private company enforcing some of our bylaws. I think we looked at the commissioner's office as one of them. And when it came to the street people, they don't have the authority to do that.
Right.
So those were my two add-ins to what you had spoke of.
And we never get a report from Oscar's place, right?
No.
Okay.
That's why I believe that this community assessment is going to provide us with some very good data, because everybody has information, but it's not collected in a big pile. Like when we submit grants through liquor and lotteries, the information is very vague because everybody collects different data, whereas what we're looking at is collecting any and every data. We'd even talked with the RHA the other day about some of the data that would be interesting to them, like for mental health and other issues.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure it was back on the table and we could see what's happening and going on from there.
So you said earlier, you were crunching some numbers on the, was it for just the one officer or two?
It was for, I think, 4.
Okay, so what was the cost of like one? What was it?
I think it came in-
490,000 or
Yeah.
something a year. That included officers, vehicles, and all the equipment.
It's pretty hefty to have.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I mean, and I don't know, whatever, Brent just came in the room, but are you better off just getting another RCMP officer and then asking for that particular work to be made more of a priority to get another officer, or is it just then dictated by the staff sergeant as to what they do, and then that may not necessarily be a priority?
Very well.
I don't know, like if you start looking at so that's basically $100,000 for an officer, then you get a vehicle, benefits, and then we're always back to the same thing. Well, they can't do this, they can't do this, we're hooped, and then where do they stay? They're gonna, if you pick up someone for intoxication, then they're gonna be going to the same place. So I don't know, just something to think about. If not, I mean, I know our bill there is hefty too, but
it would also free up officers to do what they're gonna do, right? So these guys would work primarily for the town, doing what the town wants them to look at, instead of sidetracking the RCMP officers from what they're doing. I mean, they're busy all the time, but they don't have the time quite often to deal with some of the pettier things.
could be.
I shouldn't call them petty, because they're not. They're reflecting our community in a big way. But we gotta do something.
Okay, so we are 2/3 of the way through this year. Should we start to work out a plan to throw into the budget for 2020? Can we start on that, you guys?
I
Whether
would
it's
think so.
commissioners, police
More
force,
RCMP,
extra member,
yeah.
whatever it should be. So we should get that on the agenda and start tackling that.
What is an RCMP officer, book
Cost?
value kind of thing?
170.
170?
170.
That was the number at that meeting.
I have written down somewhere around, it's just over, just under 170.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right around 170, basically.
Yep.
Plus, I would still like the opportunity to investigate a little more on
Yeah.
on what Thompson has done.
Okay, Phil?
Yeah, that's fine, wanted to bring it back.
Please, Brent, join us. Good to see you.
Good evening all.
You're back. So you're back.
I'm back, yes. So I got a few things to update everybody with. So one being, we got cut our northern pay. So they take away our isolated posts from all the RCMP now and OCN and the PAW effective July 1st. So what that is they gauge this, we got isolated pay because they deemed the PAW based on climate, accessibility, and population. They have some formula, and this is Canada-wide. It's for all the isolated posts. Certain points for certain of those 3 topics. And if you don't hit a certain number, they basically lose their isolated pay. And I guess we either fell short or just above it. I can't remember which is the deciding, if it's below or above, but either way it fluctuated and we've lost it.
So does that mean now that, because this was always considered like your northern post, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
you have to do so many, so is that considered?
No, in terms of the RCMP, I think they'll still classify that as a northern post.
Okay.
But this is just straight compensation, so. The big thing for us is obviously financial, but the big thing for yourselves in the community is gonna be that much harder to staff. Anyone who ever's had the PAW on there, what we call it a Hermes, that's in the force, kind of career management planning. Everyone, I guarantee you, when this came off, took the PAW off. Because they're not interested in coming here if they're not getting extra money to come here.
What is
How
it?
much are we talking,
Okay.
like percentage-wise?
Okay, so I'll just show you, so what it was before was, when you're classified as an isolated pay, each member automatically got $3,217.24 to live up here just for environmental allowance and cost of living. So they do a formula in saying on average to buy your food and stuff up here and not having the amenities of going to a city to save, I guess.
Yeah.
Costs on average $3,200 a year more. Don't ask me where they get that number, it's a study.
Yeah.
So that's what they give us to make it fair to the guys saying Winnipeg or so. Addition to that, we don't have, they say we do now, I'll get to that. But what we lost too was $1,534 a family member for vacation travel assistance. So once a
Per
year.
family member?
Per family member. So in saying $1,534 per family member and a loss of $3,217 per member, a single member lost $4,751 just in one email.
$400 a month.
A couple lost $6,285. A couple with one child lost $7,819. A couple with 2 kids lost $9,353. And myself, married couple with 3 kids, lost $10,887. There's 3 of us in that boat with 3 kids that lost darn near $11,000, just like that.
$1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, basically, maybe 900, yeah. So that's a perk that gets people up here, and you take that away, even that alone sometimes isn't enough to make the switch to, okay, I'll go, but now you take that off, you're pretty much kicking, like, it's not happening.
Really,
There's 2 people pending to come here. I've heard from one that it's kind of like, I'm gonna probably do whatever I can to pull out, and the other one I haven't heard back on. So that's already kind of what tells you there. So yeah, that's kind of like the big loss there. And what's funny with this, and I'm arguing with Ottawa and some emails going back and forth, is they said that the PAW should have never got it. And I said, okay,
Originally?
yeah, please explain that. And they said, the access is based on if you're close to a population or city of 15,000 within 402 kilometers, you don't qualify. So they're counting as Prince Albert going through the tote road as qualifying as a close city for your amenities.
Oh, this one's.
And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like Prince Albert, no one goes to Prince Albert. Not to knock Prince Albert, but who goes there? I mean, I think we'd all say very seldom you go to Prince Albert, right? Especially for shopping and stuff, I think. Maybe I'm offending someone, but the majority of people I talk to don't go to Prince Albert.
So geographically, they use that.
So they're saying that because there's a city of 15,000, that PA should be hooked to us, doesn't go by out of province, it doesn't matter, so that we should have never got it. But what I find strange is that I haven't looked back since how long Prince Albert's been 15,000, but it's almost 40,000 and it's been a city for years.
Yeah.
I'm thinking decades. 40 years, it's probably been over 15,000. And I don't know how they've been giving us that for that long, and all of a sudden they find it a mistake. Like, it just, to me, sounds a little odd.
Unless they just started counting the toll road.
Could be, and how,
Because
why,
I think it's more than 400 if you go north of toll road.
yeah, it is, that's right, there's 3 routes. If you go up around Flin Flon, I wanna say it's 490, that Hanson Lake Road, is that what that's
Yeah.
called?
Yep.
And then if you go Hudson Bay Road,
Barrows, yeah.
that's 475, 477.
Not from
They
those.
use actual road miles, they don't go as the toll probably say.
Right, they go as what you drive and you set your kilometer. But in fairness to us, like that, to us is that's a slap in the face, like that road's not a road, like.
So is this something they've reevaluated a bunch of different postings
No.
and we're just one of them, or
Okay,
just?
yeah, good question. So I think there's I'm not sure on the method of how often they reevaluate it, but we are the only one affected in all of Canada. They took us from isolated post and put us in a special post category.
Only the,
Oh, nice.
Only the PAW,
No
no
one
Canada,
else.
I checked. It's all just only the PAW.
Do they realize the ramifications of what they're doing? Like,
I know.
you know, I understand that it's money and it's technically gonna be a savings for the community.
Right.
But if
On
we
the other
don't have
hand-
officers to staff the detachment, it's not. And isn't the RCMP hurting for members right now? Like, aren't they actively
Yeah,
recruiting?
you're right. I think they weren't as bad as they were about a year and a half ago. I
Okay.
think things got a little better. They're still nowhere near the numbers they need.
No.
However, you're right in that sense, what, I'll be honest with you, all they're gonna do to fill this now is cadet.
Really?
That's all, straight out here. That's the only way, because anyone who has a say won't come now.
Right.
Whereas a cadet, you sign, you go anywhere, your first posting, they
Yeah.
got you by the, you know what, there, and
Yeah.
after that, you can kind of manage your career to a certain degree.
But only being the PAW, 15 members, $10,000 each. That's only a federal budget saving of $150,000, which is minuscule, like it's
Peanuts.
nothing.
Yeah.
But we pay it, the
So-
town pays it.
I asked for the methodology, I haven't got it from Treasury Board back, but they're, in my opinion, they're just taking the map and looking at this Google Maps and says, oh, that's now fell under, there's a nice road there, it's all weather, let's knock it off. When really they don't understand, like, that's not a good road at all. So I'm trying to fight it, I'm trying to deem the all-weather road, take that away. I'm trying to take the road out of the equation.
So,
They don't know, they're sitting in Ottawa making this decision, like, let's be frank, like, I don't think they looked into this. I'd be shocked if they did. I think they would call you folks first, I would hope. They haven't done that to my
We've
knowledge.
received nothing until you contacted us.
So there's that. I doubt they called across the Saskatchewan highways or, well, really, I doubt they did.
too.
So it's just a decision where I don't know where it came from, but they did it and it's effective now and everyone's kind of like, it's kind of a morale kicker, to be honest. And what's the worst part on this, is you can't even put on a number on this, what could even trump all this, is with this isolated post, you get travel benefits. So every time you get referred to Winnipeg, you can go on and get kilometers back. Like, it's lower mileage than say if you're working, but you can get personal mileage to take a travel day there, do whatever you're referred to, back and meals and lodging. So now when we go to Winnipeg, it's all on our own dime.
Really?
Yeah, so when you get a pro family, you get kids, they're not coming up here as soon as they mention they don't got that. Because there are a lot of other places in the north still have it.
Like Flin Flon still has it.
Flin Flon still has it.
Thompson has it.
Flin Flon, to my knowledge, still has it, but yet their Hanson Lake Road still falls over
Oh, yeah.
or under the 402.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they still have it. So I gotta look into that too.
No, don't make waves for somebody else.
Well, that's right, right? They'd be really happy if I got taken away from that. But fair is fair, right? You quote numbers.
I wonder if it's got anything to do with provincial versus we're paying for, because they're switching over, right? So why would they bother now?
It could be. I haven't heard that angle or thought of that, but still, at the end of the day, they gotta back with what they say, I guess, right? If they're calling it an all-weather road, yeah, it's open all season where you wanna go down it, but from my understanding, of being here 2.5 years, it's closed quite a bit. Especially when it's washed over.
It can be in the spring.
Is unionization, is the force unionizing?
No.
No?
Oh, it is.
association.
No, it is. It is unionizing when?
Will this address that?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Partially. I would hope so. It'd be one of those things that we'd bring up right away to a union rep. I don't know if it would change the actual revamping of how you dictate an isolated post. Because who dictates this is not even the RCMP, this is a federal treasury board. So they cover all the travel for everything federal. So it's not even just to the commissioner, would just, she'd walk over an office or two and talk to them and everything.
And are we the only place in Canada that's
Yeah.
experienced, this is it?
Well, I can't say that other places haven't lost the right of isolated post previously in previous years.
Okay.
But this review, we're the only ones affected, yes.
This review.
Yes.
So would it mean anything if the town actually called a person or two to say, hey, listen, you know, and I don't know what the stats are, I'm sure you know what they are, you know, in the last 8 years, we've been, had these number of vacancies of members, you know, kind of throw a stat at them, because I know you've had vacancies since you've been here, and previous, we're always trying to fill them, and this is not gonna help our, you know, our cause, and, you know, we wanna make sure members wanna come here, and not just recruits. I mean, any staff you have, you wanna have a good mix of guys with experience versus recruits, and I know one of the reasons why people kinda like, you get a little bit of everything in the pot.
Yeah.
But if you're a recruit and you're seeing a little bit of everything, you have no experience,
Yeah.
well, that's gonna cause some problems
Good, yes.
for everybody in the community, so.
Yeah, so I think what Trevor said, I think that would be good to kind of elaborate on that, and I think what we need is, if everyone's in agreement, and what I would ask is, at the end of the day, we gotta deem that road is not a road that should be traveled for someone to just go shopping and to go to the city. I mean, why should we subject to taking that road that they deem fine when it's not a good road in any means, if you ask me.
But it's not even really a shopping center from here.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with PD or anything else.
I get that.
It's just something that we just don't go there.
Yeah.
Like, we would go to Regina or Saskatoon or Winnipeg or whatever.
That's right.
And PA has never really entered into it as a,
Yeah, like if you go through PA to get to Saskatoon, that's another hour, just over an
Yeah.
hour 15, why wouldn't you go there for that much more? You're already making a trip, right?
strange.
5 times the population.
The RCMP building is confusing.
Okay.
This would reduce the pooled cost to the province, to everybody who's in the pool? Would that?
Well, from my understanding, this cutback here would be saving you folks money for sure.
But do we get billed?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right, do we get billed separately for those costs, or are they
No,
blended into the pool?
I think they're blended into
It's
your
blended
quarter.
into that.
I've never seen it separate, so I don't think it is.
So we're gonna take the hit, but we might only save $1,000 or something.
Or
Because
not,
what
yeah.
you,
Yeah. Once you spread it out to everybody
spread it out
else.
through everybody.
Save some money for Dauphin and.
Yes.
So really, how much is it really saving us?
Yeah,
You
true,
might be saving
true.
$1,000 is where you're getting at.
That's what I'm
And
getting
you're not
at.
gonna have people that wanna come here.
Yeah, I don't know, I see what the mayor's saying, I don't know if that's blended and sharing out RCMP detachment savings. If it wasn't, then you'd notice a lot more for sure.
Right.
Yeah, it would just be, because I think they said just the accommodation costs were direct billed, right? And like,
That sounds right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then the
Sounds
rest
right.
is pooled.
Is all pooled.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chad's right. That sounds right. Now that you say it. I think it's-
Yeah.
So it's not even a situation where if we were saving $10, that we could kick in $10.
Yes,
Because we might only be saving $1 or 50 cents.
makes sense, yeah.
So probably, isn't AMM and FCM doing some kind of review on this right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we notify them of
Yep.
what's happening? Because they write the agreement, right?
Yeah.
We just, here it is, and
Yeah,
we
yeah,
pay kind of thing.
I think it'd be good just to ask that question.
Yeah.
What
Is this
the
part of the
is-
pool?
What happens with this reduction? And if-
That would
I've
be
got a
Bruce,
feeling it's gonna
Bruce
be
Prange
pooled.
would
Yeah.
probably answer that.
And who's the person, like, because if we're, you know, if someone's calling or writing or emailing or whatever, but like, who's the person to actually talk to? So like,
Regarding just this
Yeah.
isolation pay loss? My contact is, her name is Marie Josie Reed, and she's compensation in Ottawa. So she's the one that is directly with Treasurer Board. So she's sending out my last email to them. I want their methodology explained, like they're just saying it's an all-weather road, but what homework did you do to make it classify? Is this just use Google Maps, and if it's on there, good enough?
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of what, her name is Marie Josie Reed.
So maybe, so you're looking for a letter from the town, basically?
I've talked to Randy just a little bit, just a couple days ago, just preliminary, and yeah, like if you guys support that, it would very much be appreciated, but the big thing here is, like, I know the need for the community is this and this, more members is gonna be harder, but what I need to do to try to change this is make them see that that's not a viable road, that we should expect people to be using it over going south on 10, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're trying to do here. I think we all agree, right? How would you
Oh, for
feel
sure.
if someone said, "Yeah, you're blocked there, you're going to PA all the time now,"
Well,
right?
you guys, all the members, you know, got a pretty substantial decrease in pay
Yeah.
overnight.
Yeah.
Based on a gravel road to
Yeah.
Prince Albert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, moving on from that, unless you have any more questions about that. So our deceased female, we know who that is now, right? Randy and I talked about that. I wasn't too happy how that kinda came out. It was a day where I was traveling though, so I guess maybe they called my office. They didn't leave a message, so I didn't know about it. And Randy called me and said, hey, this person's been named. And I'm like, really? I didn't know that. So she told me. I was like, geez, this shouldn't happen this way. But I guess what had happened is they called Sheldon to the office, Sheldon to the next of kin, and I guess didn't call the town. But Sheldon and I were on opposite shifts, so I don't know.
It was my understanding they were told that they didn't want a public announcement.
Okay. There you go. So ideally how I like it is if I know I can call you, that's how I'd like it to work every time. I don't think it's going to, hopefully it does better and more often. And there's no cause of death yet there from the coroner's office or the anthropologist or whoever else they're consulting there. So they had a hard enough time making an identity, like a positive. So there's a few factors in there that I can't really say, but there's quite a few angles on it. So that's one thing I want to talk about. So as far as resources, the municipal 15's full. We got one rural vacancy, and OCN has 7 with 1 vacant, but that's been vacant for a year and a half now, or just over a year for that corporal since the change. We had 3 members transferred in August. I don't know if you guys know, Rick Johnson left us. I think everyone knows Rick. I've heard the name at least. He went up to Puck. And then a married couple, Tom McDonald and Miriam LaRouche, they went to Island Lake. And so we were +2 with STE. Now we're -1. September we have 1 outgoing. And then two are named that I mentioned earlier that are coming in. One, I think he's kind of on the fence about pulling the plug, and the other I think will show up. So we're doing okay as far as resources. Traffic, there are 4 full. However, one is ODS, has recovering from a shoulder surgery. So they have 3 on the street, now 2 of them are transferring out. And again, traffic doesn't fall under me, but it's nice when they're full, because they help us and they help, safety and generate some stats and stuff, right? So that's what I have for you folks. Is there anything else?
Any idea on if and when they may have a COD on that girl who caused the death?
You know what, I haven't been told. I would hope sooner than later, but.
Okay. It would be, if there's something we can do to help.
Sure. Yeah, it's just basically, my understanding is it's like when they do the autopsy, he's like, this can actually go both ways. I'm not too sure what the cause is. Could have been a combination of, let's just say drugs, alcohol perhaps, or something on that side combined with it. It does look like this could have been something happened to her as well. But state of body kind of helps or hurts to declare that or make a positive. There's a little bit of factors there, so I don't know when that'll come. It's kind of out of my hands.
Yeah.
I can do some checking, but I'll get the same probably. You gotta be patient.
Yeah. You don't want to incite any sort of public concern, but
No.
if we do have somebody walking around our streets that shouldn't be,
Yeah.
the sooner we know that,
I
the
hear
better.
that, definitely. Yeah, wait, the minute I hear, I'll let you folks know. And as for the transformation over there for
Yes.
DOPS, I still call them DOPS, I can't get used to that Manitoba First Nation Policing. We haven't heard anything. I know that there was a OSB, which is Operations Strategy Branch in Winnipeg, had a teleconference with Thompson, and I talked to Kevin Lewis after, and he said it was kind of disorganized, doesn't really understand. Basically, it's our Winnipeg talking to our Thompson, and they're trying to figure out if anything's new, if anyone's heard anything, and then Kevin's like, no.
Are they still planning November, is it?
Well, it was April,
April.
and then off record, they were told me it'd be June, and I just don't see them going there in the summer. So I have a feeling we're gonna be, maybe a year from now is a realistic goal. And we're getting questions from, I get it, people want answers, but the truth is, it's not us making this change. It's the Director of First Nation Policing provincially in Winnipeg and DOPS, Manitoba First Nation Police. So they're the ones that should be asked, like, what's your plans, when are you coming here, right? So we can't say you guys will be here this day, like. So I understand, we're the ones here, we're the ones that should be in the know, but we're kind of being like, we haven't heard from you folks in a while, so we don't know. It kind of seems like it's lost its steam though. It was now meeting.
Well, it's an
now
election
it's-
coming up too.
Yeah, maybe, good point.
Yeah.
Everyone's busy with that. So,
Just backstepping.
Sure.
Earlier you heard the discussion about the by law enforcement officers and policing
Okay.
costs and all that sort of
Yeah.
thing. If we were interested in hiring another police officer
Okay.
at the going rate, could we direct him to more municipal activities?
If he was a community constable. But if if he becomes a regular member that goes through depot that falls under me, you wouldn't be able to,
No way.
no.
So the community member we had before,
Yeah.
is that being resolved?
It's still under suspension, don't know anything about it. I mean, I do know about it, but I mean, I don't know.
I know.
I don't know where it's at.
But could we get community
I don't know if they're still doing that, to be honest. I could look into it for you and see if they have,
Could you?
yeah, that'd be interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know.
yeah.
So how did it work before? Like if you had a community constable,
Yeah.
they would work for the town but be under your,
They'd be under us, but they would take care of all the school talks, all like the leading of the parades, anything community oriented. So the minute there was police calls, his priority was here, but let's be honest, often that's not gonna be hard to figure out. You get busy or short, guess what he's doing half the time, right? He's helping
Yeah.
us, cause he's still a cop.
is it?
Yeah, like he carries the gun. My understanding is the community constable's 2 weeks short of what I have for training.
Oh.
2 weeks short. So I don't think there's much
Why does
difference.
he do that?
I have no idea. I even asked
Unless
Chad, I
that 2
said,
weeks
like,
is really.
I asked Chad, I said, like, don't take this the wrong way, but why didn't you just do the 2 weeks and become a regular member? Because then if you ever want to leave, you could, no, you really can't.
But
It's
I
not
think-
transferable like a
I think
regular
it's
member.
about those staying, I think, though.
Yeah,
I think, not that I'd still make that choice, but then if you wanna stay, maybe the 2 weeks is, but whatever.
yeah, like I see where you're going with this, so you, like,
Yeah.
through me and finding it on your own, I think your smartest bet would be to have someone that you can directly have report to you, as far as like, you know,
So that would be
we want
like-
you working on
that
this
would
and
be
only
like
this,
that.
right, really?
That would be like a community safety officer.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah,
So now, so having said that, like a community safety officer, that person would be able to do like bylaws, whatever. But would they be able to do the intoxicated persons?
I think so,
or-
as long as you have peace officer status.
So
That's the
that-
catch,
that's,
right?
and that's from the
Yeah.
province, right?
You need peace officer status, because you have peace officer, if you don't have that, I'll be frank, you're probably wasting your time.
Yeah,
Right.
so,
Because then you're gonna
so,
put someone on there with a vest, like, you know, Bill, you could go out there with a vest and say, I'm gonna come with me, and the guy's like, I'm not.
yeah, yeah.
And then the fight's on, which sometimes
Well,
doesn't
no,
happen
it's,
anyway.
it's just like,
Yeah,
we have First Nations safety officers, right?
yeah, we do 4,
Yeah,
and they don't fall under us, they fall under the chief and council.
right.
So they do a little more help us, but really, if we told them, hey, can you, we'd say, no, pound sand.
But, are, they're under the peace officers thing, right?
No,
No,
they
they're
don't
just
have peace
under,
officer status.
oh, no, they don't,
No.
oh,
They have some kind of status, I don't know if it's,
well, it used to be
I
like
don't know,
a,
I think they have a banned bylaw status or
Banned,
banned
yeah.
something status. Yeah, there's another word in there, but they don't have peace officer status. They can make an arrest under us, but we have to take that step.
so if we go forward and we look at the community safety officers in the community here, like, and maybe it's granted, I don't know, whatever. So, and we do get these people and they do fall under the provincial statute of being,
Yeah,
Peace out.
peace
police
officers.
officers, then they would work in line with you,
Yeah,
and they could do the intoxicated persons thing,
Yeah.
but that would go into your holding cells, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And as long as they have peace officer status, and they would probably, like, I'm just gonna guess, they would work into our schedule, and they would probably be, ideally, your mandate is this is what you're doing
Right,
first.
yeah.
See, Chad was a, community, not a CSO, he was
No,
a
he
community
was-
police officer.
Right.
So he was hired, did the same thing, he can investigate files
Right.
criminally, but he is also, like, he would be the guy that would be assigned all the community relations to. Whereas I believe a CSO can't touch anything, criminal code.
No, no.
He can only bylaws, provincial tickets, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And in criminal code, yeah, he can make notes, but he'd have to hand it off.
Anything under provincial
Yeah.
statutes, right?
Yeah. That's like the conservation officers.
Yeah.
They can make an arrest and stuff, but they can't investigate anything criminal. They have to call us and hand it off. Yeah, I don't know, Wildlife Act, that's theirs, anything provincial is theirs, but as soon as it's criminal, it's to the RCMP.
Yeah, and they're actually through the justice system as peace officers, right?
The CSOs?
No,
Yes.
Conservation
Yes,
officers.
yeah, 'cause they carry a firearm, right?
Yeah, because they're,
They have peace officer status, but not criminally.
Right.
Or, no, sorry, not federally, yeah, criminal.
but they're just under the provincial
Yep,
jurisdiction.
yeah. That's correct.
Anything else for Brett? No? All right, well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ray. Yeah.
You know what, we're gonna go Saturday, right?
Don't they still have
So I was thinking 21st,
police
28th.
officer stuff?
No,
it was the training. Training. That's
I watched the,
Yeah.
Just a short thing, but did you have anything other than thing in the park? The altercation in the park?
Is that what ours, the one on video? Yeah, that, okay. So that one there, what happened was, you guys were aware that there was a First Nation guy that was arrested by one initially, and they got into a fight in Devon Park. And it got to the point where that member was in the fight for like tired right out and said, okay, I need backup now. Another member came in, that's when they started filming it, because people were watching this. So they deemed it that to be too violent for the arrests, and the two of them beat the heck out of this guy, but little they know that the guy was fighting to start with, they just think we just jumped him, of course. Anyway, that went public, Facebook, I don't do Facebook, but I guess it got sent out all over. Anyway, it got wind to me, I looked at it, I've sent it up, because they're gonna see it anyway, so went and big reviewed it, and because of people's comments on it having 3 or 4 different angles, they're sending it to IIU. So it's, which is good, because it keeps everyone fair, doing their job the right way, no excessive force. IIU is the independent investigation unit out of Manitoba. So they kind of investigate the police independently, unattached. So they're looking at that. So these members have been served papers saying that they're investigated for this, they got by their reports, they have copies of the videos, and then they're gonna come down and do interviews.
so kind of part of the same thing that started at Extra Foods, did it not?
Yep, he had slapped the manager across the face and extra food
Yeah,
across the face.
he went after him.
Yes, so you knew he was already physically violent before the police even encountered him.
Yeah.
And the minute, and he was a bit heftier of a guy, I don't know, maybe 210, 215, and the guy that arrested him was probably all of $1.40. So, guy was intoxicated and it turned, yeah, and then the other guy that came wasn't much bigger than the first guy. But anyway, the fight was on, they got him under control, but what happened? Police abuse. I did.
Well, I understood.
I haven't seen it.
Some of it did.
He announced as soon as he went out the door that he wasn't going down without a fight.
Yeah.
As soon as he went out the door.
The second member came in, and what he did off the bat looks bad, but because the guy just been a fight on his partner.
Yeah.
But once he kind of got him under control more, then it's, well, he's doing his job, right? So we'll let them do its thing.
Yeah.
That was that.
That's it, not
Thank
right,
you.
thank you.
All righty.
Have a good night.
Yeah, take care, everyone.
All right, number 2, Public Works redos. Councillor Ward.
Where are we here? It's just, over the last while, I don't know if the guys are just trying to do a really good job or what, but like the library, had a break, they fixed it, then within a couple of weeks or whatever, it was back to again. And then talking to Sam on Hazelwood, when it first started, he said that the whole pipe, he said that probably the whole pipe should be replaced. And then they went at it, and like, I think it cost us lots of money to do it. But I just wonder if it's some of the products they are using, or if it's equipment, more equipment they require, or if there's more training that's required or something, because it seems like, I know they had lots of water breaks this year, and it seemed like the one on 7th Street, they went back 3 times and redid it. Hazelwood still isn't finished yet. Like, I'm not saying that it's anybody's fault, it's just, how do we get by redoing these water breaks, like?
Would you like Sam to come and give us an update?
Sure.
Okay, can we ask Sam to come?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, Hazelwood discussion, is that the same thing,
Yeah,
Bill?
yeah.
Okay. 2.3, A52 Hogan, water bill.
Mr. Foxon appeared at our last meeting as a delegation, and generally what happens when there's questions from the delegation, we bring it back to this committee of the whole, or the following committee of the whole meeting. In reviewing some of the information, I understand that wasn't the first time that this issue was brought forward to the table. So the engineering department has requested, or has reviewed the information provided, and has requested that council consider remaining status quo as their previous recommendation.
When I read that part of it, is there a concern, like I've only, I mean, maybe I'm missing, but are we getting like a load of citizens in this situation that this gentleman's in where they're, I mean, it kind of seems to me like a very kind of unique where they put that ball valve in. I mean, again, the timing was bad when he explained it in terms of the time they put the valve in to the time they checked it. I understand why they didn't check it right away, because they had like 40 other people's lines to kind of check before his. So in my opinion, I mean, looking at the dates, the guy had no water. I mean, he put the valve in thinking that it was going to be checked right away. I don't personally have any problem. I think it was it $200?
I think he said like 190.
190 something.
Yeah.
Yeah, 180, and then he wanted the neighbor's bill adjusted for the amount of time. You know, if we were getting hundreds of these because of, you know, and the circumstances were.
You may.
You know, we haven't though.
No.
And I mean, I think these circumstances are unique to that fact, so you know, because he was willing to pay for the neighbor's water bill, was he not? He was going to adjust the.
No, he wanted us to adjust it down to 0.
Yeah.
No, but he said, I'm just reading the notes here, guys.
He had mentioned that he would pay his neighbor's water
Oh,
bill.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So I mean,
He's getting a minimum bill.
Minimum bill.
yeah, the minimum bill. So I'm okay if you wanna keep it separate. I think the valve thing, you shouldn't have to pay for, and paying the minimum water bill. But anyway, that's my opinion, you guys can.
I don't disagree that paying for the ball valve, and I think it might be a good lesson in communication for all departments, I guess. You know, it is what it is. I don't think that this is a practice we should be doing going forward, paying for these ball valves or whatever, but, yeah, I think we can maybe pay for it and chalk it up to a lesson in better and more effective communication with homeowners and taxpayers.
There was like a 7-week,
11-week.
11-week delay between the two, which is, it's not probably, considering the year. The part that I wondered about, the whole thing was, it seemed to step back to cleaning the snow off of the boulevard.
Yeah.
Like, that seems to be, Mr. Foxon's thing, is that the snow was cleared off the boulevard, which caused this. And then they said, I believe they said that they cleaned the snow off because of the width of the street or something and better access or something.
For emergency vehicles or something
Emergency
like that,
vehicles
Mr.
or
Foxon
something,
said.
yeah. So, it's like Trevor said, and it's like Chad said, it's a combination of a whole bunch of things. So, in this year coming, now, do we not plow that off and hope that it doesn't happen again? Or do we continue and have it happen again? But there was the 11 weeks of miscommunication there, and I don't know. I'd hate to see precedent set by, well, the town paid for his, and if this happens next year.
But I don't think there's miscommunication. To me, it's just simple as, hey, I'm gonna put this ball thing on and I'm gonna be able to test it right away, or I'm not. I'm not gonna be able to what's the point of putting the ball thing in and then putting a list on to check it? Is either one, they both have to happen together.
Yeah.
So in terms of setting precedent, we won't, because we only guys, our policy needs to be now, if we're gonna put this piece on, we test it right away to figure out whether or not that is going to solve the issue or not. And then we can charge you going forward versus putting something on and then all of a sudden it's 20 degrees outside. We have no idea whether that made a difference or not. right? So don't do it.
So
Don't
I
do
think-
that.
Shouldn't they think, like, I don't know if there's an actual written rule on how to deal with
That's
this
just,
stuff.
he mentioned
But
policy,
if
maybe,
it's case by case, then just deal with it case by case. I mean, I don't think anybody will come in, if you have a big lineup of guys, then we'll have a lot of work saying yes or no for the things that have valid reasons to pay or not pay.
Is there a policy on this?
No, I believe we talked about having a very straightforward policy on this to come forward.
and there should be a policy derived for this.
Yeah, for sure. It's a tough one, it's,
Yeah,
like
What
I
is-
said, it's a lesson in communication, right?
So
And it's-
are we saying we pay what he's asking us to pay? Is that what we're saying?
I believe, what I recall, he said $195 for the ball valve, and that was
And
quite a
the
concern
rationale
for
for
him.
paying it, just so I'm clear, because I can't follow this whole thing. I
So-
agree, like if it's based on, just so I'm clear, Trevor, so it's based on the fact that we said, put the valve, if you put the valve in, we'll come and check it, but he put the valve in and waited 11 weeks before we did
So-
our
That's what
part.
he said.
So right here, it never would have had the valve installed if he knew it would take another 7 weeks to get it.
yeah.
So he had 11 weeks without water, he got the ball valve installed, and then 7 weeks later, we came to try to test it out.
That's when they came to.
Well, that's when they,
Yeah.
that's when they came to use the magic kiss to try to get it to
Yes,
work.
and it never worked.
And then-
No, that line is frozen.
Yeah.
Solid,
By
solid,
then.
yeah.
Were
I believe
bleeders
he
not part
further
of this as
stated-
well?
He had
Were
bleeders in.
bleeders not part of this?
His
as
bleeder
well?
was on full, that's what he said, his bleeder was on full.
I believe he further stated that had we, like, he would have installed the valve or the ball or whatever, and it didn't thaw right away, he would have understood, but he said the
Yeah.
fact that it waited, that was his
7
major
weeks.
concern.
Yeah, yeah.
Seen that information, where did they-
I did,
That was
he
an
came in,
email?
he came in, no, he came in, that's just
When he
notes I
wrote
wrote
notes?
when he
Oh,
was, when he came to council.
I think it's in the minutes too from last meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so then if we make a decision, the decision is we pay the valve or don't pay the valve?
I would be in favor of paying for the valve.
Pay the valve,
I think I would be too.
majority consensus, pay the valve?
So I could
With-
just obtain a receipt or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then, but yeah, just, so
And then
we have
policy to follow.
a tightened up policy come
Yeah.
forward before winter.
Do you want a policy, or do you wanna just deal with it as they happen?
Should
Yeah.
start with a policy.
Yeah?
Yeah, start to tighten it up. Yeah.
and should we make a recommendation that they watch about removing that and see what happens about removing the snow in that area?
If they feel, if emergency vehicles need to get down there and that's why they're removing
Yeah.
the snow, then they need to keep doing
Yeah,
what
that's
they're
right.
doing.
And I'm not opposed to looking at a policy, but I just think sometimes when you do a policy, you back yourself into a corner. And then when didn't think about that one. Well, now we're going back, we'll have a new council meeting to change the policy, because what we're doing is unfair.
Yeah.
True enough,
So
yeah.
if we had a gazillion of these things, or maybe there is something out there that looks great, but I don't know, anyway, that's just my
I agree,
2 cents
Trevor.
on that one. But-
And sorry, just before we get too far ahead, I'm fine with the water bills being where they are.
Yeah.
Leaving
Yeah.
him at the average and his neighbor at the minimum.
Yep, that's fair.
But, and I don't know, I guess I'd like to see a policy before we move ahead on a policy, because I just don't even know what the policy would be. But
I thought there was some sort of a policy regarding the ball valve.
I don't think so.
There is one on the sewers,
Yeah.
but I don't think there is one. This is just a new system, well, it's not a new system. It's enabling it, the magic kist or the, whatever it is, to force water down the line and it doesn't come back, eh? That's all that is.
Okay. Variation application for One Bud Place, everybody heard? What do you think? Any issues?
When I first read this, I thought it was like a 16-foot wall, not a 16-foot peak.
12-foot wall,
So,
16-foot.
yeah, so in our building bylaws or whatever, our present day wall height is 12. It doesn't say anything about the peak, it just says the wall size, right?
No, it says about the overall height.
Height, maximum,
The overall
maximum
height,
height.
okay.
Height, maximum height, yeah.
Yeah. Because I went past this place and I looked at it and I thought, as you're going down Centennial, you're gonna see this 16-foot wall, but if it's not, eh?
It's gonna be a
Yeah.
20-foot building
Yeah.
by the time you put the trusses on there. No, I'm fine with it, as long as none of his neighbors came in to complain about it, like, he's on the corner lot or end lot. Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Everybody's good?
Does his neighbors have to bring in a thing for variance?
Last night, or pardon me, this, today.
Just that's all, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
or
yeah,
some would call in, but
Yeah.
I don't recall of anything.
Nothing came in.
okay.
So,
Okay,
resolution?
resolution to proceed. Yep. Number 2, 70 Edwards, the fence height.
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with that. The only my question I had is, and I was glad it was the guy from McDonald's, because it's McDonald's fence, right? It's not,
Right.
It's both their fence.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they both
Yeah.
own it.
so that's good.
Everybody's good with that? Carrie?
Yep.
Yeah, understood. 4.1, Policy Review Committee, removal of resources from town-owned property.
Does anybody from the policy committee want to talk about this?
Go ahead, Bill.
We talked about this, Trevor and Terry and I, and we didn't quite do it right, so then we had a policy meeting the other night, and this is one that we didn't talk about. But we did revise the wording on it from prior before, and about removing clay and gravel, is that correct? Yeah.
Okay, so there's a policy, there's a proposed policy and a proposed procedure there. Everybody had a chance to look at it. Any thoughts, concerns, statements? Everybody's good with it?
And the reason this kind of came about was because of the request for people to dig gravel across from the new town sites.
The boulders.
Boulders.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Background.
yeah.
Boulders. Everybody's good? Resolution to come?
Yep.
So to proceed?
Proceed, yeah. Okay, 412, sale and extension of lots, issue sheet.
I think after the room for this one.
Yeah, do you have to leave for this one, because this is covering all properties,
It's up to
right?
you guys.
Yeah, whatever, honestly.
I got mine back from the lawyer, by the way. I was sent it the same day.
You what?
Okay, so we issued a proposed policy on extensions. We had, I'd spoken to Randine last Thursday, Friday,
I think it was before then, yeah.
to
Thursday, sorry.
clarify with the lawyer what our legal position would be as it relates to these lots and their ongoing ownership issues. We haven't heard. So I'm thinking that maybe we can table this till the next meeting, hopefully that we get a response back from the lawyer.
Okay, so in the meantime, if someone comes, just say, sorry, we're,
Yeah, I mean,
You're still reviewing?
unfortunately, this is,
I guess
I know there's one person that's been calling me and asking me what's going on, and I mean, I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm telling one thing, we're holding off, and I get it, we wanna get it done right, but this is kinda holding up somebody who's wants to buy it or off someone else and can't get the title of the land, and they can't get the title, then they don't wanna buy it. Like, we want people to have properties and to have taxes, I mean, I don't know, preaching to the choir, but,
Did they say why they couldn't get title? Did they try?
yeah, because they can't get title because they're not sure that they own, like, if this is not gonna go ahead, right, through that.
kind of what I understand is that the people who have bought the lots already have title, right?
Yeah,
Right. So basically, really, if you wanted to buy my lot, I just go to the land titles office and change it and sell it to you, right?
Well, I mean,
No.
you're talking lawyers and banks.
Yeah.
So it's not that easy, right?
Well, no, but
So when you're talking lawyers and banks, and if the bank is saying to you, you need this and this, and we need to do this, then that's what they require. You're just gonna
So-
do what the lawyer tells you in the bank, so that's why.
so if we don't hear anything from this lawyer for another 2 months, or whatever, or another 2 weeks, or whatever, then we have to go through this system again.
Well, I think
Then we
that,
have to pass another resolution.
this would be my suggestion. Rather than proceed with the policy, I would think that if anybody wishes to sell their lot and wants to move forward with it, just follow the procedure, make application, and we will probably bless it. I don't
Okay,
see
so
us
then,
standing in the way of anybody.
Part of this was because it has to come back to council all the time, and all this policy was to say, rather than waiting, that
Yeah, but if the message is out there that we would agree, we don't intend to stand in the way of any sale.
Okay, good, because this is kinda, and correct me if I'm wrong. So this is, so the same person that's calling me was calling Randy. Randy was saying, well, hold off and wait because.
we don't have a policy
Because we
on it.
don't have a policy on it.
Yeah.
So are we now telling Randy to go tell this person or anyone else that Randy can do whatever? We're giving Randy the blessing to go do it?
Yeah,
Even though there's no policy?
Yes,
Okay, okay,
yes,
okay,
can we bring forward a resolution that just says that I can do
Yes.
that? Okay,
Yes.
good.
okay.
So we're not doing a policy, we're just,
we're just.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay.
The boys may come back. Uh, 413, financial reporting.
Hello, where to start?
Hi, Graham, how are you?
Good, well, goodish. I guess I put this on the agenda in response to that Hazelwood stuff. I guess there had been an inquiry as to what the cost was on Hazelwood to date, and I was looking to respond to that, and I seem to be kind of blew past that without even talking about it, so now I'm wondering why I'm even here, but maybe this would be a good time to just talk about maybe what some of our limitations are in terms of finances. I know there's some policies going to the policy committee in terms of what's being reported. And, I don't want to give anybody the impression that I'm trying to hide anything. I certainly will work to try and give you guys whatever I can. I certainly have some limitations in terms of staffing, in terms of capacity, in terms of software, in terms of tracking. Like, had we been able to do that analysis for you for Hazelwood, it probably wouldn't have been very good. I don't want to make us sound bad, but we don't track on a job costing basis, especially like for capital we would, but for repairs and maintenance, that's just not something we have capacity to do. Something like that, we would have been looking at manual paper time cards, trying to add up all the hours, trying to put costs associated with that for wages and benefits, and then trying to look into the cost of the pipes, which would have been coming out of inventory. So it would have been quite the job, which would have taken time and resources that we don't have a lot of.
So when you look at that, and I didn't know that's where Bill was coming from, but when you look at that cost, can somebody just give, was there X number of man hours spent on that and this amount of equipment?
We could have provided an estimate, absolutely.
Okay.
It just wouldn't have been something I would have been like, this is firm numbers, we're happy
It
giving you
doesn't have to
this.
be firm numbers, it's just that when people ask and they say, well, what's that costing? And if you can just say, well, approximately it's $160,000.
Yeah. And I guess, when I read the question, I only got it last week. I guess it'd been outstanding for a while. That would be something that probably better directed at me, because I could have given you some kind of response like that, whereas Sam is busy trying to dig holes and keep people doing things, so that's not really his area of expertise.
It was kind of a two-part question.
Yeah.
It was having to go back and redo.
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
it.
no, I realized that too, and as I was reading, I was thinking, is the question aimed at would it have been better to tender something like this out in advance? But I don't think that something like that is necessarily possible when we're responding on an emergency basis.
My question in it is like in water and sewer, whatever division it's called, they have X numbers of dollars in their budget.
Correct.
Right? So in the time they take and they spend $160,000, not something that they knew they were going to spend. So that comes out of their budget, right?
Correct.
And at some time during the year, when their budget ends, like, and they're short of money, how do we compensate them back without raising water
Water rates.
rates?
Well, do they ever run out of money? Because when it comes to the fact that labor and equipment is budgeted through the year anyways, right?
So there's a bit of a balancing act between the public works and the utility.
Internal transfers,
Right?
some internal transfers.
Yeah.
Well, just in terms of where we're coding them out, because those same workers work on both sides of the fence, right? If you recall, last year, we had a deficit in the utility, but we had a surplus in public works. So it ends up being who's paying for what, right?
Left pocket or right pocket?
Yeah, a little bit, right?
But the thing of it is, though, is if we run out of money in utilities, and then the utility board says, you must up your water rates because you're at a loss.
They will never tell us to up our water rates. That's us going back and get up our water rates. They will make suggestions probably for sure if we're constantly seeing deficits. They will be concerned, but it's up to us to move motions where we raise rates, not that.
Okay.
They would probably only enter into the conversation if we had an overall deficit, a long-standing deficit, like the long-term surplus or deficit accumulated for the utility as a whole. We do not. We're not even close.
So the Hazelwood activity, that will be paid for through the water, through
Yeah, I mean,
utilities?
there's certainly, I don't, the majority of it is considered work below the surface. So whenever that happens, we're responding to repairs due to water. Sam's told me in the past, he also likes to code the repairs to the road to the utility as well. I'm not sure where I fall in on that. I mean, that's a bit of an internal discussion between the two of us, but.
So how do you track that? So if we don't track per job or code per job?
Well, the hours get coded out individually to that, like to repairs and then but it's not, the level of detail isn't there to pull it out of my system. So we have to manually pull it out. Now, there's probably a better way to do this. This is just what we're working with right now. In terms of me just going to the computer and hitting Hazelwood repairs and coming up with all the costs, it's just not there. I could say, like, when Sam was given the order to try and find all this information, it would have been the payroll person digging through all of this, trying to get it from the time cards, so.
And that's only one side of the coin, right? Like, there's also the materials, there's also the
Yeah.
equipment hours, if you were to start trying to get a firm number.
I questioned that we were gonna ever get to that firm number without dedicating a huge amount of our resources, which, to be honest, we barely keep up as it is with the staff we have. I've been ignoring, give you an example, I've been ignoring Census Canada for 6 months. They've been asking for reports from us. They sent some template that they want me to fill out, and I just haven't had the time to do it. I'm trying to get the reports to you. I'm trying to keep our finances in order. I'm doing our audit. Like, I mean, at some point we'll be all green and good on everything, but there's always something, and we don't have the staffing or resources to churn this stuff out as quickly as I would like.
So how do you budget the materials on? Like, because that's a real cost, right?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, all these costs end up in one-liner for repairs to utility, right? On our budget, likely. So it's not being coded out as Hazelwood repairs, right? I don't have a GL code for that. I can search my GL, maybe somebody coded Hazelwood on something somewhere, but I'm not gonna capture all of it. It's just gonna be a fishing expedition, chances are. On a job costing basis, if you were a job costing type of organization, you would be going, well, I have a job at X location, I'm gonna consolidate my costs here like a work order, and you close it all up into one line later.
I thought we did something like that.
We don't. We do that for our equipment. We track, costs to a specific piece of equipment, like this, the loader. We got our gas to the loader, insurance to the loader, and we close that all up and we dump it back into public works under a one-liner typically afterwards. But
Okay.
and even that practice to some degree has kind of ended even before I got here, it went from tracking hours and trying to code out those hours based on those machines to deciding which pieces of machinery were used mostly in these locations, and then being coded out like that instead. So it's more of an averaging than it is of an actual cost being
Well,
coded
I
out.
thought when we started this whole council process, that was said that, we actually did that, I don't know, unless I missed something, did we, did it? I thought that's what
I
they
thought
said.
that's what we kinda were headed to. I guess our system that we have, I
For
don't
capital projects,
Yeah,
yes.
the capital projects you can,
Yeah.
And so that
but
would
the
be
everyday working projects you can't.
Well, I mean, and you can do anything with enough staff and firepower, but I don't have that. I'm brutally honest, I just don't have that. And a lot of the higher level analysis is just coming from me, and I've got other things on my plate as well, so.
Yeah, but wouldn't, just per se, wouldn't the town works supervisor kind of know that he has 8 people, a loader, a hoe, on Hazelwood for 7 days at approximately this amount of money? Wouldn't he do that?
To some degree, right? I mean, this is something that this repair has gone on since April, on and off.
Well, it's not
day
finished
and day.
yet, and that's the other thing.
And so these things continue to add up. I mean, I guess it just, if the expectation is to give you a rough estimate, I'm happy to give you those estimates, and I can come up with those numbers fairly quickly. If the idea is to give you some really good, solid working numbers to work with, I'm not confident I could do that without spending time to do it. And I worry about reallocating some of the resources we have to get those kinds of numbers, because I don't think there's enough value in them. Because what decision are we gonna make with that? It's kind of, if there was something.
Well, I guess in the end, what the decision comes is that if you're gonna replace that 520 feet of pipe, instead of doing this chunk, this chunk, this chunk, this chunk, and taking 3 weeks, and you were to say, okay, guys, you guys continue doing this work, and we'll get somebody to put that chunk of pipe in.
And this is something that maybe Sam could talk more about than me, in terms of what his operating policy is when he sees a water break. But I'm sure when they went in there, they didn't expect to have to dig up half the street. I'm sure they,
Well, off the start, he guesstimated that
That
the
there'd be a
whole
little-
thing would have to be replaced.
And I mean, I know that he also used the examples in my office the other day when we were talking about this, that he had 2 more happen, one on 7th and one somewhere else, where they just dug, cuff, done, they're out the door, right? And that's a one-day affair. So, I mean, there's always that hope that you don't have to dig up the whole street. Even in that circumstance, I feel like where you have a water break, you've got to fix the hemorrhaging, and then you can step back, you can look at a tender, you can look at something else, you can see, well, what else do I do that's going to save us money in the long term? But when that water is still gushing out, or people are without water, I think a lot of times the move is trying to restore that service as quickly as possible, trying to.
Is that all fixed now?
I
just think it's more the optics of it than anything, like
Yeah.
there's been a lot of big digs this year, and it is what it is. It was a bad year, it was a really cold winter.
Well, and I don't want to say that, because, you know, at the end of the day, we have a lot of really old infrastructure, and I suspect it's only going to get worse.
Oh, yeah,
This is not
naturally,
going to be something that's going to be an isolated year. Even though it was really cold this year, I suspect we're going to see more and more of this as the old stuff fails. And we're going to have to look at some options in terms of, I'd hope this asset management plan was going to be a little more ahead at this point, that we could start looking at, you know, where are the real concern areas.
Well, Sam and Chris have that hit
Well,
list, right?
they know, I mean, a lot of that knowledge is buried with them though, so when they walk away, if they ever walk away, I'm not saying I love having them here, if they were to depart for greener pastures for some reason, we would lose a lot of what they know, where things are. It would be nice to see some of that stuff in writing somewhere, that everybody's kind of got a handle on it. I like to see the wheel turning in the right direction all the time.
We should wait to hear from what Sam has to say.
Yeah.
But I certainly, like, I don't ever want to give the impression that there's any information that's off limits. I would love to see these things kind of directed at me in the future. If it's an analysis of costing, I could probably come up with that a little bit better and a little more quickly, because that's more my realm of expertise. And if there's something I just can't do, I'm gonna tell you, I can't do that, I don't think it's a good idea, it's gonna be a big sink of time, and then you can decide whether you want me to invest that time, or you want me to just step back and go, no, that we were just kind of curious, and give us that estimate.
Although it's good that you have that higher level of analysis expertise, I also believe it's good for people that are executing the work to understand what the costs are.
Yeah, and you know what, this is something where Chris used to do a lot of this work. Yeah. This is stuff where Chris used to do a lot of this compilation, and now that he's moved over to maintenance, I feel like there's a little bit of a gap in terms of who's doing that. I know Sam tries to keep a handle on it, but it slowly falls further and further behind. At the end of the day, if I can fill that void a little bit for you guys, that's what I'd like to do.
When, and whatever, it's a discussion for another time, get into this, but, so when the guys are punching their time cards and stuff, and you are trying to break down what they were doing, like, how do you know if a guy was working the loader, or the truck, or he was digging the hole?
A lot of that is pretty standardized, like certain positions, like the operator will get a certain rate based, and he does that job basically all the time, right?
Okay, no, but so if anything changes, how would they know that? I guess what I'm getting at, is it, and I'm not saying he has the manpower to do it, and maybe there's not, the secretary doesn't have enough time either, but if you knew that you were working on, say, Hazelwood for 4 days, and you were coding those 5 guys on the Hazelwood project, doing whatever, and it just took him a couple of, go in the computer.
To do it.
Yeah, and do it, and then you make your job a lot easier when you're trying to go back and find it. Does that exist where you?
I don't know, and this is the question. I don't think our system is designed in that way, because the way our software was specifically built for municipal operations, and it's meant to fit the template of the financial plan that you guys see whenever budget time comes out. Because that's what the province wants to see reported. They don't really care about the details of specific jobs in that way. I'm not saying it can't be done.
No.
Again, I haven't really spent the time to look into it. There's probably a lot of things our system can do that if I had unlimited time and I wasn't burying my head in other work, I would be trying to figure it out.
But in terms of, you get the question, it's only valuable if you're getting value from it. I would be interested, if I were the manager, to know, like, what are my guys doing most of the time? Are we digging for water breaks 80% of the time? Some years it'd be pretty obvious. There was one winter it was like.
And they could
50.
probably answer that question.
Yeah, but,
again, I haven't had that conversation with them, so I can't really say what they do and do not know. I don't want to make any assumptions. I think they have a good grasp of the hands-on of where everybody is and what everybody's doing. They may not know the costs side as much.
Okay. All right, we beat
Okay.
that. We beat that. Pretty good.
Wasn't the discussion.
That's okay.
Good, everybody's happy?
Yep.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay, 4.2, Bill.
Where is it? What's the name?
That's a big road.
I had the opportunity to be invited to the annual general meeting of the Hudson Bay Road Association, and it was between council meetings. And I attended the meeting, and therefore there was an invoice for $120, which is added in here. That wasn't in the budget to go, so I have to ask for that to be paid for. This was a very good convention. It has to do with Hudson Bay Road Association to deal with the railway from here north. And some of you probably know something about it, Trevor, or whatever. A lot of people don't know anything about it. But there was a lot of people there. There was the mayor from Flintcon, the mayor from Creighton, the mayor from Denair Beach, Darren McKelsey, Harlan Mountain, Mayor Churchill, the Mayor of Thompson, and the association municipalities. And they did a report. And the day went with Jamie Wilson giving a VP Corporate Development, Arctic Gateways. He did a speech. David, I can never say his name, but he's from North Dakota. And it's the central northern line, whatever, and they're lining up to send grain through here to Churchill. And it was a whole bunch of speakers through the whole day. And it was very interesting on what can or happen or will happen in our community if we pay attention to it, and I'm going to pass this on to Councillor Murphy for CDC also. So what I would like, yes, in the past, talking to Randy and Jen, we had been members of the Hudson Bay Road Association, and I would like to see us become members again. And if possible, I would like to see a letter of support for this from the town of the Paw signed by the mayor. And the annual general meeting is next year in Hudson Bay, if anybody wants to attend. So it's really worthwhile, and all the speakers talked about the railway from here to Churchill. They talked about Highway 283, getting stuff done going across. I had the opportunity to talk to Jim Carr, the Federal Minister of International Trade, about our Highway West. And then I talked to Joe Coco Miglio or something from Fairfax. And the thing of it is we're at mile 1 of the railway from here north. And there may be interest to do things in their community, and one of the things they talked about was someplace in the whole thing there's going to have to be an inland terminal built and stuff like that. But they didn't only talk about grain, they talked about diversification in the whole north. And there was a group of them went to Rankin Inlet as a resupply thing, and there's 2 mines up there. One spent 2.1 billion, the other one spent 1.7 billion building these mines. And everything that goes up there comes out of Quebec. And what these people want to do is they want to try and bring some of that stuff to here and go north.
That's good.
And it was interesting, and so that's all I got to say. I was going to see about bringing everything to council, having Jamie Wilson coming from Arctic Gateway, because he did a really good speech on it, and Jim Burscheid to talk on the World Trade Center trip to Rankin Inlet. So whether you want it here as a council or you want it to move over to you at CDC. So.
What do you guys think?
Well, I think that's more of CDC's alley than it is town council's alley. Is the CDC a member of the Hudson Bay Road Association?
No.
I don't believe
No?
I don't
don't think so.
But that's something they should consider.
And we're not. The town
A
is.
couple years ago, council chose not to.
How much is the,
$120.
well, that's the invoice.
No, that was
How
the
much is
invoice
it
for
for
me.
people?
The Chamber of Commerce is, correct, Trent? The Chamber of Commerce, we're a member of the Road Association. I feel like, obviously, we need to pay the invoice for the $120 since Bill did attend, but I also feel that the town can support the Road Association without paying a $500 membership, through letters of support, through attending upcoming AGMs, other meetings. I'm not 100% that it's something that the town would be, but if the CDC was willing.
Yeah, well, we have a
to
meeting
jump
this
on.
week, so why don't you give me that, Bill, and we will take it to the CDC and fit it in with all the other priorities.
Okay.
You have it in your budget.
So forward to CDC.
Forward to CDC?
Pay the
Thanks
$120
for,
invoice?
yeah,
Pay the
pay the
Just
invoice.
kind of my thoughts with it.
Yeah, I mean, either way, in the town, we're in CDC or whatever.
Somebody needs to be a part of
Yeah.
it. It's important for the community. And it could be a big thing for the community.
All right, 4.3, Bill,
4.3.
promoting the town.
Oh, as you, and Mayor Herb showed me this one thing in the paper. Just about every southern newspaper you pick up there's an article in there, or there's a thing in there, welcome to our town, and it talks about what's available in the community. We don't have this, and I don't know who would be responsible to do this, and that's why I put it here, to see, as a discussion thing, to see who would be the person to do the promotion thing, to go into the newspapers in southern communities or whatever, to say what is available in our town, because like in Nipoa, they had everything listed, seniors housing, da-da-da-da-da-da, we welcome you in Nipoa and everything else. We don't have that for here, and we don't have a communications person? What is it? So would this be something that would go also to the
Destination
CDC
marketing?
or destination marketing, or like who
Or
should
that
we?
coordinator? That's not
Who
there.
Who should we try to
It's destination marketing.
to get this on the ball, like going?
But I also think this comes hand in hand with that group, I think we sent him a message.
Yeah.
We sent a group, a message asking where,
Well, they're different issues. But the tourism one is the branding stuff, right?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
strictly tourism. I think Bill's trying to attract more pragmatic solutions. If somebody's interested in moving, one of the things we had given the CDC a task was to promote the Paw of
Yeah.
the North as a community of choice. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah,
So, you
Yeah.
know,
And again, that's another thing that, if you remember we haven't had a meeting since June.
no, I understand that.
You see in the last list of actions that were on there, it is on our list to do, and also newspaper articles and all that sort of stuff. But as we all know, we're a little bit resource limited as well. Plus it's been summertime, so we'll give you a good update after our September 11th meeting on all those activities, and one of them is promoting, and we'll also be looking to see how we're going to be able to resource all that, because we do need some support. So I don't disagree with you, though. It's CDC promotion is part of, I don't have my CDC file with me, so.
And the next thing, it's gonna come up right next to 4.4, selling town merchandise. And there's a little bit of stuff at the museum, but there is nothing, there's nothing.
Well, I thought it was at the visitor center. We gave the Chamber of
Herb and I went
Commerce-
down there and,
No, but let me finish there. We gave the Chamber of Commerce the access to that office. I believe we're still paying the rent, the CDC is. And the Chamber hired, we sent a letter, I believe people supported it in here.
nobody was hired.
Anyways, we sent a email saying that we supported that, and Jen was all hurry to get somebody in there, because I know I rushed down there a couple of times to get her in there. I gave her the keys, give her access.
Never hired.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, so that's where it was left, so we'll have to follow up with the chamber, because that's kind of what was left
so
there.
nobody was hired.
No,
Nobody was hired, no.
no.
I think, again, I'll just interject a little bit. I think what Bill is getting at is there's a lack of promotional material in our community. All the usual welcome to the paw kind of trinkets people buy when they travel. And it's not really our role to get into that market, but I think
Used to be.
Yeah, it's not our
Well,
market.
I don't think so, but I think if we can help support a retailer who wants to get into that,
Yeah.
then by all means, let's give them a hand, right?
Yeah,
But it's not really our role.
so having said that about the selling of the stuff or whatever, and many of us have been up to FlintCon since they've got branded and everything else, and they have all sorts of stuff, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You can buy stuff in Flint
All sorts of stuff.
with their new logo. on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I haven't been to Flint for a while.
But
So-
I think that, I mean, that's why I brought up what I brought up, and that's part of the problem. So we're in limbo, right? So
Right.
what are we gonna do? Make some, buy 1,000 shirts, and then we get rebranded, and then we change
No,
the
but
logo? We can't even agree on
if
the
you
logo.
read there, does this go on to the branding? Like, do we buy into the branding, say, yes, we're gonna do the branding like CDC is looking after, right?
Well, no, we have, police branding, I can't even remember where that's landed, because the last time, again, I should have brought my CDC file, but where did we talk about the last time police branding?
Place branding, we were waiting until OCN had their
Their
election, and we were gonna get the
Exactly,
presentation
right.
again.
So there's really nothing to move.
So-
Yeah,
It's different.
they're sorted, these are different issues, right? The
Yeah.
place branding is separate from basically
Yeah.
promoting novelty items for resale, if that's what you're
Yeah.
getting at. If the town wants to buy a whole bunch of promotional items, because the city of Flin Flon, when we were there for AMM, they gave us these little cup things and
Mints,
mints. and
USBs.
There were a whole bunch of giveaways, so to speak. I guess if the town of the Paw wants to do that, well, then we can do that as well, but I'm not really sure that's what we're about, personally.
It's just things that happened over
Yeah.
the summer that
Well, it's
came up
just,
from different people,
Yeah.
like, you know.
you can buy how many different Clearwater Lake items?
Yeah, quite
Well,
a few
no,
now.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah.
but you couldn't buy a Town of the Paw shirt or hoodie or whatever, right? So,
We had them here for
Years.
years.
Yeah.
really?
But I don't
And
think
nobody
they're,
bought them.
but people
But
don't
we don't-
associate here with tourism.
Right.
down
Well,
there.
where would they go?
You
though?
associate the
Where would they
information.
go, like, if we were gonna, like, I think it's a great idea, so, don't get me wrong, but where would it go, into somebody's business?
Local retailers, I
Yeah.
think that's where you'd sell it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and they would think that they would go to that store because that's where it is.
Maybe.
Well, if they stopped in there and they seen it,
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah,
purchase
yeah.
it or whatever.
It would
It's
have
just
to-
Well, I'm
that,
sure there's
it would
I know
have to
there's
be
at least
marketed.
one businessman in town that'd be interested in doing that, I don't know if it's ever been offered out to him, so. Or-
Yeah, there's not really anything to offer out, right? If I wanted to start selling lawnmowers that had Town of the Paw logos, like the picture of the trapper or the name, I can do that. There's
Would have to
nothing
get
stopping,
permission from the town to,
not for that sign anymore, town gave it up.
no, but for their logo though, if we.
But
took the-
I could put Town of the Paw, welcome to the Town of the Paw, we have the best lawnmowers in Canada, right? There's nothing stopping me from doing that. Nothing at all.
No, but if somebody wanted to buy a sweatshirt with the paw
Adventure
adventure,
territory,
yeah.
if we have it copyrighted,
I doubt that we do, but yeah.
then there's nothing preventing you from
There's a
selling.
trademark
Yeah.
thing on it.
Is there?
There's a
Yeah.
trademark.
If
Well, wouldn't we want
did we
the-
register
on
one
that
then?
branding, no, like, again, it's gonna go back, but if we're asking, we say we go out and we ask a business person to, hey, we wanna sell the paw stuff, wouldn't we wanna have a bit of a say in what it's gonna look like? Because,
No, I don't agree. That's not government's role. Government's got no business in my
I'm not
business.
saying, well, I mean, so if the guy puts, well, I don't wanna say something nasty, but if
Yeah, well, you look at Clean All, they've got some really nice shirts they're selling that say, "I survived the tote road." Right? Some people might find that offensive, but I think they're kinda cute.
So, hold on.
There's a plug for
Okay.
Clean All, by the way.
So we think we shouldn't be involved in this?
No, that's not, I don't think that's what we're saying, but I think we're getting things confused.
Okay.
I really do.
Because and maybe I have it wrong, but I see where you're coming from, but if we, just as in my head here, when the place branding happens, because we had an issue with the logo, and to me, wouldn't we want to be selling more shirts about the region and not just the Town of the Paw? Or would we want to sell Town of the Paw shirts, but yet we place branded ourselves as a region?
I don't know how that works.
Kind of.
No, but
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's just not the same.
No.
The shirts that you're talking about, the hoodies that you're talking about, that's locked up.
Yeah,
Those can be found at it was the Tourist Information Center. So there are shirts there. I'm unsure if some of that promotional wear, I guess we can say, if that went over to the museum or not. I'm not sure. I do know that some of,
That's not what I'm
that
asking.
some of the consignment
That's
went
not what
there.
I'm saying when we rebrand, so let's just say that eagle, right, that's the eagle, we're all for it, that represents our 3 regions. So and again, I'm not a big promoter, so wouldn't we wanna promote ourselves, or whoever's gonna do it, CDC, wouldn't we wanna be promoting the region?
That's what you're saying.
Or no, we're just
Yeah, I get
promoting
what you're saying,
the
but
Town of the Paw.
the rebranding of that logo, you're not limited to just that.
That's right.
Like
I
you
know,
can, you
I'm
can
not
have, you can
saying-
have all these other things as well, but what we're trying to say is that we don't believe that's Town of the Paw.
No, I don't disagree. What I'm saying is when Jerome got a shirt that he makes from 10 years ago, and whatever, he's gonna make his new shirt, right? He's gonna do one. So if we do a brand new, this thing that we agreed on for the place branding, why would we be selling shirts for the town of DePaul that are 10 years old? Wouldn't we be just supporting the region? Because it's different.
Or
There's
some
a-
random design.
There's a region, yeah, there's a
You can
region.
do whatever.
Nothing to do with it.
I guess the question though, why would we be selling shirts?
Oh, yeah, not the town.
No,
Oh,
but if, as a retailer, right, if,
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna tell Andre how to make his paper, right?
Yeah.
If I think that, I know, if I think all those, when they ship out those rolls of paper, they got that real nice brown craft on them, I think they should be a flamboyant green with a great big picture of a trapper on them.
Yeah.
Well, it's not my decision to tell him what to do, nor is it your decision as a retailer to tell me what to do. It's my choice, it's my business.
Yeah, but
If
we're
the
not
town-
talking about, yeah, but that's different though, we're not talking about how to make a t-shirt. We're talking about what's on the t-shirt, and
But-
the picture that goes with that.
The town
So
of
that if
DePaul,
I would hate to have some guy have something terrible about the paw and selling all this stuff out of a storefront and everybody's excited about it, we're branding the paw, or branding is and I bet you with Flin Flon's stuff that they're handing out there, what does it all have on it?
It's all the brand.
Oh, there is stuff.
branding, all the new
Well, I
stuff.
mean, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
but what I'm saying though is, right, so if the town of DePaul and the three communities agree on a branding logo, whatever the logo is,
Yeah.
right? So if, assuming that those three agencies, copyright, logo, trademark, that's your logo, you have some care and control over that logo, right? But if I want to come up with the most hideous looking logo in the world and it says the paw on it, I have every right to do that.
Yeah.
So that's where, you know, we have to,
So why would
Be
we
careful.
encourage that though?
you don't have to encourage it, I might just want to do
You
it.
can encourage it, you can't stop it.
Oh, I'm not,
Yeah.
yeah, I get that. I mean,
Yeah.
you can put anything you want on a t-shirt. What we're saying though,
The lack of availability.
not it started out as promotional material.
Oh, that's right, and that's how,
If it's gonna turn into the most hideous logo, why would I wanna be
Well, that's how-
involved with that?
well, that's how difficult these discussions become.
That's right. It's those lines, right? So anyway, I just threw that in there just to see whatever is going.
So right now, if I wanted a Town of the Paw hoodie, could I buy one? Could I go to the Vic or to the tourist?
If there's some in stock,
There's no, there's no.
I know there's
hoodies.
t-shirts for sure, I don't
Is there-
know if there's.
No,
hoodie.
okay, but it's just
I know
as long as there's
golf
something.
shirts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
But the doors also have to be open.
For sure, no, I get that, that's a separate issue, but I'm
Well,
just
who's
wondering.
supposed to run that place though? Is that the CDC? Is supposed to operate the tourism? Because I need to understand that, because that's not what I understood.
I think that was the original intention.
Yeah, but we had
But I
a
don't
full-time
know.
employee
That's
that
right.
that was shared with DMC and CDC, which we don't have now. And the last that I had heard, the Chamber of Commerce was gonna take over that.
no, it didn't take over anything. The chamber was going to help hire somebody,
Well,
but it didn't fall
I'm
through.
telling you, I met with Jen twice and they were taking over that to the end of September. And I did not even know it wasn't hired.
Nobody was hired for the position.
I have a huge conflict, right? We own the building, we're the landlords. I can tell you with certainty, the CDC is the tenant.
Yeah, I realize that, because we
Who's
talked
supposed to
about.
run it? Well, that's something you guys should work out.
No, so is that our function though? I guess, yeah, we own the office.
Yeah,
Do we own the function of running, is that a responsibility of the CDC to operate a visitor information center?
The inventory inside of that.
No, I'm not talking about the
belongs
inventory.
to
No.
the
So-
CDC and the DMC.
I think,
inventory.
if I can, you guys, so
Okay.
we are way off the agenda, okay? Andre has some very valid points, but we are way off the agenda right now.
So, yeah, we'll save it for
Yeah.
another day, because we're gonna be,
Yeah, this is a worthy
Yeah.
discussion,
yeah.
but we should get it on the agenda.
Yeah, I'd like to see not on the agenda, to see who should actually be running that visitor information center and what we can do to help facilitate that, because if we ran the whole summer,
Again, Chad,
Yeah.
we're way off agenda,
Yeah.
so,
I'm,
so we'll
I'm
put
just
it on the
trying-
agenda for the next meeting.
So is that, so do we need to put an issue sheet in?
You know, at the end of the meeting, we have that spot, new business next meeting, it's
So
on,
let's put that on there, so.
it's on. You betcha. Good, thank you. Okay, I'm lost. 4.5, AMM Annual Convention.
We have early bird registration coming up September 13th to the 21st. It saves us about $50 by early registration. We kind of need to know who's going because we're always very much challenged with rooms, even if we can get any.
I already started looking,
It's
gonna be hard.
very hard.
That's November 20,
25th to
Yeah.
27th.
I'm going.
I'm going.
Also, I am going, and if I need to back out 2 weeks prior, I will let you know 2 weeks prior.
I'd like to go as well.
I guess my only question is, do we need to have all these people there? Like, do we get enough value out of us? I know Herb, you should be there, absolutely.
There will be training sessions for new counselors, and people should try to attend those. Yeah.
Didn't we just, was that the same one as the last one?
It'll be different again.
Yeah.
It'll be new topics. Yeah,
Is there an agenda for this already?
not yet,
Not yet, it'll be coming up.
not yet. It probably won't come out till October.
And this is also where we've already had the request if council wants to meet with the RCMP.
Alright, I was gonna do that
Yeah.
next meeting.
We might as well chat about it now even.
And you get an opportunity to talk to provincial,
Oh, I'm not disagreeing that it's important to have that, I'm just wondering if we all need to be there. Like, I mean, I'd love to go too, but I don't wanna just waste money if I'm doing the same thing that Herb's doing.
Yeah, I would encourage anybody who wants to go.
Okay.
I would. There's lots to be learned there, and the thing that's even more important than the learning is the relationships.
Yeah,
Because
no, I
I've-
just don't disagree.
Yeah, I find it's not good enough to be right anymore.
I won't be going.
No chat. Okay.
Those that you wanna go, do you wanna go to the gala? Cause it's $60 extra. I
don't.
need to meet for registration.
Yeah, I won't.
Okay,
Yeah, and I,
you're not gonna go.
no, she can pay my.
Anybody going to the gala? No?
And we could say meet with the
Pay
RCMP,
my
because I
wages.
think we should be doing that regardless.
Yeah,
And,
What's that?
I'll go.
I'll go. What's that, 4 days of work?
and
3 days,
the,
3 days.
yeah, meet with the
4
RCMP.
days, I'll get the travel day.
The provincial election is tomorrow, depending on how the election goes. We should try to schedule meetings with ministers if we can get in
Yeah.
to see any of them. Health minister, if you'll talk to us.
highways minister.
Yeah,
That's probably why the
Yeah.
agenda's not done yet.
yeah.
Pre-registration, money refunded by what date?
I'll have to look.
Please,
Yep.
thank you.
I don't know if it's a refund, it's just, they'll just hold it to another convention.
Yeah, but it's not gone.
And
No,
you'll
it's not.
clarify that
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Resolution for 5?
Sure. All right, COPP council rep.
I'll stick.
Okay, so we got a letter from COPP. They're requesting a new representative be appointed. Do we know when their next meeting is? Does anybody know?
October 1st?
October 1st is what it says in here, Tuesday, October 1st.
Yeah, Tuesday, October 1st.
Okay. I can check my schedule. If council is in agreement, I don't mind going to this one October 1st. In October, later in October, we typically do our committee appointments again for the coming year. So that would be a good time to
Yeah.
readjust and rejig any committee that needs to be changed. So if you'll put that in my schedule, I will make every effort to attend.
If you want some assistance there, I'll attend.
You'll be around?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of us will get there. You betcha. Cool, and then October we will.
Just so nobody doesn't have to go to the next meeting. So we'll do resolution or anything.
No, I'll just attend, yeah. I'll go to the next meeting. Okay. 4.7, rental of office space at the Wellness Center.
If you recall, I had Immigration Services tour this facility. They were touring several around town. Due to the nature of the business and the fact that it would require evening hours, they were really receptive to the two offices that are over at the recreation center, just because there would be no working alone and stuff like that. So this is basically, we're making more money by them being over there also. So it's just to enter into an agreement with them for rental of those two offices.
Makes sense.
Anybody, any issues, concerns?
Amber designated for her new position that she's supposed to be.
She said she'll have room.
Which offices are they in?
I think it's the old rec.
The old rec directors,
And
like
maintenance.
Wanda's old office and.
Oh, okay, all right.
And, what's his name? Lujan's there.
Okay.
Or the maintenance director.
Okey dokey, 4.8, Skippy L.
So the funding we didn't receive, so we have two options. Either does council want to pay the entire cost of the assessment of the Skippy L for $6,815, or let that appointed committee come up with a plan on how to continue?
Okay, so I'm sorry, refresh, who's the committee?
There was a, council had asked at one point to establish a committee to
Shireen.
deal with that. So Shireen has, we'd suggested Shireen to come up with that. So she's saying, does the town just want to go ahead and pay for the entire assessment? Or do you want to just say to the committee, here's our issues, give us a plan on how you want to move forward with this?
Is there actually a committee?
She's got a few people,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
The museum board members, but she's got a few.
I'd recommend that the committee look at it. That's just.
So if there was, so the 6,800, where could we, if possible, the grants left, the grants left, where could we take that money from? Is there any spot?
That was the problem last time, that's why we had a
Yeah.
committee, because we didn't really have a spot to.
Yeah.
So if this committee they formed, could that committee come back and request the money from us?
Maybe they could.
They could do whatever,
Like, whatever?
doesn't mean you have to do it, it's just,
No, I know.
they'll come up
But
with a plan on how to
going
proceed.
back to the Skippy Owl and everything else, it's listed under the historical
Yeah,
heritage thing or whatever. So basically, in not to do anything, we would have to have it taken out of the historical type thing, right? Can you do that?
I don't know, I would have to ask.
Well, the thing of it is, that it has to be repaired, but.
I don't
but
think it can be taken out.
I don't think so either. I think once it's established in there, it stays in there. So the thing of it is like this $6,800 is to do an assessment only
That's right.
on this boat. Now, after the assessment is done by a qualified person, I guess, then they're going to come back and say, well, it's going to cost X numbers of dollars to repair it. Not just to repair the boat. And then we're going to come along and say, well, you know, in order to stop damages to that boat, we're going to have to change the fencing, do whatever, put it under a roof or whatever. So this could end up being like astronomical dollars somewhere. Now, is there a grant available somewhere in?
We got denied.
Yeah.
No,
That's for the assessment.
this one here got denied for the assessment.
But refurbishing.
But is there a grant that we can get maybe through Manitoba
Sure, there's grants, it's
150
just
or
no
something?
guarantee.
So
But until you have the assessment, you really
I
can't get
know,
a grant, because you don't know what's wrong.
Yeah,
there's a pot of money for the heritage stuff per year, and any heritage site can apply for it, and they can get a portion of that fund. So there's always money available, but you wouldn't know until the assessment was done, and then you send, like,
okay.
it's like a whole big process. It's not like you could say, yeah, we get the assessment done, and then they'll cover 50% of the cost. You can't even say that that's how it's gonna end up working.
Either way, we're gonna be on the hook for a portion.
For a portion, for sure.
Yeah,
So
Or-
would it be reasonable to let Shireen and her crew carry
Yeah.
on?
yeah,
If they can come up with something.
Come up
yeah.
with a plan?
Yeah.
So we'll let Shireen and the crew? They know more about this.
exactly.
Okay, additions and deletions to the tax assessment.
Kind of a disappointment when you look at the additions versus the deletions for 2019, we have a difference of $12.
But it's an increase.
Well, why is it disappointing though? Like, what, like, just explain this.
So what she's getting at is it would be nice to see the additions surpass the deletions.
Just because it'd be more improvements in the community.
More improvements, more taxes.
Plus you don't have to pay school tax on that. That's just clear money that we would
Yeah.
get.
Yeah, that's
So then when they came in here and they seemed all excited that they did their flyover and all this work was done and,
different tax year,
oh,
2020.
okay.
And there may be more.
Yeah,
Okay.
There's usually 4 or 5.
stragglers.
Yeah.
So we would require resolution to approve.
So then, okay, cause they recently went around to houses. So then, cause I was talking to the guy on the phone, so he said that, so if you did something new and from the pictures they did, you would get an additional tax bill coming up in the next.
Yeah, these are the
20.
supplementary.
These are the supplementary
Yeah.
ones. Okay, and that's it
Yeah,
Yeah.
from that.
but come January 1st, there's probably a bunch more that they'll be picking up just as a new tax year.
Okay,
These were just ones that they caught, that were kinda midway through the year, if it was someone building a garage, or if they finally noticed that, geez, you know, Chad tore his garage down.
okay.
These are the ones that they're picking up.
Okay, got nothing to do with the flyover stuff where they
Nope.
looked at the map. but-
That'll be
okay.
2020.
Okay, alright.
Okay,
Yeah.
resolution to come. Payroll and accounts. Everybody had a look?
Yep.
It's pretty basic. Some of your bigger ones is just some patching for Bignell, airport fuel. So require resolution for checks in the amount of $330,803.96, and then another resolution for checks in conflict for $1,195.31.
Any questions?
And these have been paid already, right?
Yep.
Yep,
So we're still in a stage where it's been paid and now we're saying yes. So we don't, never mind.
And that goes back to the policy, 825 that we sent.
Okay, any questions?
Bill, anything to add to the agenda? You got a couple on there tonight?
Okay, I'm good now.
No? Okay.
All right, well,
so we have the who's running the visitor information center in there.
Oh, yes, so new
And-
business next meeting. Okay, so the visitor information center one?
Yep.
Okay, I want to, if we could bring up the Stitco, please. Gary Lajmeder from Stitco came to see me today. He said that we haven't had a wholesale pricing agreement with Stitco in the town for upwards of 5 years. So he said we've been paying full retail for the better part of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
For real?
Can't make it up, right? Can we pull out the records that pertain to Stitco and our propane purchases? Kelsey Rec, can we get an update on the review that we
Yeah.
started way back when? And maybe just a financial update to see where she's at. Anything else? New business next meeting without the issue sheet?
Okay, well, I have my follow-up sheet that I was waiting to get to someday, but we're here today. The water treatment manual, wouldn't mind an update on that. We're talking about KPIs for department performance. We talked about procedures for digs. Environmental reports, we haven't seen any of that. And we also had procedure for frozen lines that we were going to get something written up on that as well. And then I think we talked about place branding, and then I believe we should, I'm not sure how it gets on the agenda, and I didn't send it in, but I think we should have an in-camera personnel update.
I have.
There is one.
It's coming.
It is, okay.
We have one for tonight, yeah.
Did you get like a water treatment procedure manual, environmental? You got it all?
Reports.
Okay, as long as you got it.
There's one I think I missed somewhere in there though.
Frozen lines.
Update on water treatment, dig procedures, there was one I think right after there.
Frozen lines.
Frozen line.
Environmental reports, procedure, frozen lines.
Policy, frozen line policy, right?
Yeah.
Frozen lines.
Do we want anything on the lagoon?
Isn't that what the
That was your
environmental
update.
reports?
I mean, we have those, I mean, we've been talking about like these type of things.
Yep.
So,
And nothing, on the regional landfill still, is
That's
it?
what I was gonna,
We can just see if there's
Yeah,
anything.
just,
Probably nothing, so we'll talk to the
well, I mean, it's,
When is OCN's election, Trent, do you know?
Next month.
19th?
19th?
Is it September?
Yeah.
Oh, it is, okay, I thought it was October.
what about also, we were talking a while back about, a bathroom facility outside for the street people.
Okay.
Did we talk about that?
It was brought up and, we had a few ideas and just never heard anything else
We
about
didn't
it.
budget for it.
Okay.
No.
Okay, that's, and as well, right, cutoff is Wednesday before,
Wednesday at noon.
Noon.
Wednesday at noon, so if there's something else, you guys know how to get your issue sheet in. We do have a couple things for in camera, there's staff relations type stuff, there'll be nothing come out of there for business, so somebody would.
yeah, that's not on the thing today.
Every week it's a new excuse with you.
It's not on there?
It's not on
No.
there.
I didn't see
That's
any
why I brought it up.
Carol?
Wednesday at noon for,
No, this is not on the thing today.
issue sheets.
We resolved that we now move ourselves into the in-camera portion of the committee of the whole with Mayor Jakes in the chair to discuss matters requiring our attention.
Alrighty,